To Procrastinators Pit Stop. We are on Saturday Starter. It is December 21st, 2024, and it is, excuse me, it is cold. Um, it was about, what was it, about feels like minus 14, I guess, is what, minus 14 degrees Celsius. For those of you who don't use Celsius and use Fahrenheit, minus 14 Celsius is about 6.8 degrees Fahrenheit. So it is pretty cold out there. And gotta say, I own a Chihuahua, and this Chihuahua is from Latin America. And as they say in Spanish, se hace huevo, which means that she really does it a lot because she's used to 30-degree weather. I mean, she's been here for a couple of years, but um, you know, from coming from 30-degree weather to being able to go out and do our business in minus 14. I mean, that is, you know, if you are looking for any any sense of uh, inspiration in terms of overcoming kind of like procrastination or anything like that, I think that's got to be a really good example. Just because, I mean, come on, would you go out in minus 14 and do your business? I mean, I'm sorry. I know it's early, and it's probably not a good thing to be talking about. But it's amazing, right? Because, I mean, it's just so cold. And actually, you can hear in the background now coming down, and she's looking at me. She's giving me a little bit of a stink eye. Yeah, she loves me, but you know, it's another thing. Dogs have unconditional love, and I guess that's kind of where I was going um, with that. I guess little story this morning is just that as we're heading into the holiday season, just to have that compassion, empathy, and remember it is about unconditional love. But to also remember that it's not only about this time of year. You know, we should be having that the entire year. I mean, why should we wait to the end of the year to have compassion for others or for ourselves? Or why should we wait to the end of the year to do that thing that might be uncomfortable that we know we need to do? Um, for our own benefit, right? So it's there. And what I mean by having compassion for yourself is that sometimes we've been working the entire year on ourselves, or maybe somebody else has been working on themselves for the entire year. And this time of year especially has a lot of power over us. Tends to bring nostalgia, sometimes melancholy, joy, stirs up all these things because they're very rooted in traditions, very rooted in connection. um, So, over the holidays, we tend to want to get together with people and loved ones, and sometimes that also encompasses second chances. Maybe the grumpy neighbor, or the surly matriarch or patriarch of the family, or that uncle who imbibed a bit too much and is looking to not do that anymore, right? So, and it's difficult. Um, these changes and working on ourselves, takes time, and um, sometimes there'll be setbacks. I mean, you know, on a from a personal perspective, you could be trying to you know be again, that less grumpy or whatever, and then they happen to come to that Christmas party, and they might be having a good time, and then something might happen, and you know maybe that grumpy neighbor has some sort of a snarky comment or something, so they fell off the wagon, so to speak. And the first reaction might be one of kind of one of anger, right? Like, how dare he have that outburst after he said he's changed, and he's coming to my party, and now he's ruining that party with that vibe. But I would say to, to have compassion because again, breaking these cycles and these habits are not easy and there's bound to be, setbacks along the way, but it won't do that person any good in their journey to, point out that, oh, you fell off, you know, oh, you haven't changed at all. You're still exactly the same. that that's not conducive to supporting their change. You might say, again, have a little more compassion. Say, hey, let's say his name's Fred. Say, hey, Fred, recognize the efforts and the change there, and maybe you'll just back it off and you say it's okay. You know, just get back right up on there and continue again. And that goes for anything, whether it be for attitudes or vices or other habits that maybe you want to break. Maybe one of the habits that you didn't um, want to partake in was maybe you said you wanted to give up so many sweet things or something for Christmas, right? And of course, how do you do that? Because you've got this Christmas party here, that Christmas party there, all this, all these foods and candies in front of you. So, I mean, you may break down and have one. You know, I mean, if you've been eating Christmas pie or you've been eating, the chocolate mint bark or eggnog, like holiday favorite, and you decide to have it anyway. I mean, if you've been doing that for, you know, years or even decades, it's going to take a while to completely, kind of break that habit, right? So, just as always, we try to get into new habits in the new year with New Year's resolutions. But I do want to say that, it's okay to, slip back. It doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean that you failed. It doesn't mean that you didn't do what you were setting out to do. It just means that some of the old programming came back to the surface. And again, the deeper that programming runs, the um, the deeper that programming runs, the potentially the longer it's going to take to come out. But the good news is if you do have those slips, you'll notice that they don't happen as often over time and they don't last for as long over time. So, if you know a family member who's trying to change or who's trying to make amends or who's trying to, get back together, maybe again, it's the holidays, so, have a little bit of extra compassion. I mean, there's even additional pressure on them to perform, right? Or even yourself. So let's say, you're trying to change and do something. I mean, there's even additional pressure on you to try and do that, right? Because it's the holidays now. You've really got to put in your A game, right? But the thing is that you have to know is that um, hopefully those people are doing the change for themselves. Um, but normally that change comes because we're not used to doing these changes for ourselves first. We're more used to doing these changes for other people. And when those other people don't react to those changes or they don't, believe in those changes, then it becomes this sort of uphill battle. And we just need to remember to have compassion for that too. And if you're going through something like that, just remember that, you're doing these changes and this habit and you're trying to do it for you. You're not really doing it for anyone else. And if you are just doing it for someone else, well, I mean, it's a good sort of catalyst to get going, but it's not going to be the real reason or the real anchor for you. It has to be for you. So again, second chances and this holiday season, and yeah. So again, it's minus 14 outside. I'm going to have some coffee here, and thanks for joining me on today's Saturday Starter. I'm going to keep it short because it's the holidays and everybody's out there. And just keep on keeping on, and just like my dog, when you hit minus 14-degree weather and you got to do something, just push through. Yeah, all right.